YouTube, in this video I'm going to show you the fastest, easiest, and in my opinion the most reliable way to teach a sit-stay. Now I have a video that I will link to right here, which is how to teach a stay, but it's 18 minutes long. In this video I want to show you all the steps quickly so you can get an idea of how easy it really is. And then if you want to go into more detail, you can check out that video. Step 1. Lure the dog into the position. So the first step is luring the dog into the position. If you have a treat and you hold it over your dog's head, most likely as you lift the treat up, the dog's butt will go down. And the moment you're going to click is when you see the muscles of the back legs moving into the sit. If you don't have a clicker, you can simply use a marker word like saying yes when the butt goes down. Yes. Awesome. So that's the first step. Yes. Step 2. Use a rapid-fire treat delivery to reinforce the dog for staying in the position. After luring the dog into the position, you're going to click and treat as the dog stays in the position as fast as you can. Yes, 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 yes. When your dog is doing really well, yes, you can put more time between the times that you mark the behavior as being correct. Yes. If your dog were to get up, then you simply just have to lure the dog back into the position, wait, yes, and then reinforce, yes. Step 3. Train a release cue. Once your dog can stay in the position for 5 to 10 seconds, you can then add your release cue. So you say your cue, release, and then if the dog doesn't get up, pat your legs, encourage your dog to get up, click and reinforce your dog. Splash's cue is actually free, so I'm showing you with the cue release how you would train it. What you're hoping for is that the dog is going to start anticipating that release means get up. Release! Yes! Good job! What you don't want to do is say the cue and move at the same time like this. Release. Because the dog is learning that this means get up and not the release cue. Sit. So you say your cue, release, wait for a second, and then encourage your dog up. Step 4. Remove the lure and add the cue for sit. The next step is removing the lure and adding a hand signal. So pretend to get a treat, lure your dog into the position, and then get a treat from your other hand or your bait bag. So your dog is learning not to be reliant on that food being in your hand. Once you can get your dog to sit without having a piece of food in your hand, you can then turn that gesture into your hand signal to tell your dog to sit. So you do that in approximations. First you can get your dog to sit by having your hand close to your dog's face. Then from further away. And then finally to the signal that you wish. Awesome. If your dog gets stuck, you simply have to go back a step and make it easier. So you don't always have to make it harder and harder and harder as you go. First you could teach them like this, then it could be like this, and then if they were struggling, you could go back and make it easier for your dog. Step 5. Proof the release cue. The most important part of teaching a sit-stay behavior is proofing the release cue and adding stimulus control to that release cue. You have to make it very clear to the dog the only word that means they can get up, the only thing in the environment that means they can get up is you saying that cue. And if you don't proof for it, your dog is going to get up. When distractions happen, when they've been sitting for too long, and also how far away you get from your dog. If you're going around a corner, that would mean to your dog that they should get up. So you have to start proofing for it. To proof your release cue, you simply have to add distractions and click as the distraction happens at first, and then when your dog is successful, you can start delaying your click. So the distraction happens, you wait, click, and then the final result is that you can do distractions and your dog remains sitting, waiting for the only cue that they know that means to get up, which is the release cue. So to do this, you add a distraction and you click as the distraction is presented. If it's too hard for the dog, you can take it even slower. So maybe just touching my bait bag might be a good enough distraction for one dog. Pulling the treats out, another dog could sit through that. If the dog were to get up, then you simply have to lure the dog back into the position but not give the dog a treat, and then make things easier. If your dog can't even sit through the beginning of the distraction, you need to go back again and work on clicking the dog for staying in the sit position and finding that really reinforcing. Okay, so you add the distraction, and then when the dog's succeeding, you can start adding criteria. So you delay the click. The distraction's presented, click, and reinforce. You can use different types of distractions. The more proofing you do, the more reliable your sit-stay will be. I'm presenting a frisbee, click and reinforce as the frisbee is presented. Then I'm going to start moving it around and then clicking as I throw it. If this was really hard for your dog, you could have someone throw it at a distance and you can click your dog for staying with you on leash. Sit. It's really important to not always make training harder and harder as you go. So if you want to teach distance away from your dog, you're not going to take 1 step away from your dog and then 2 steps away from your dog and then 3 steps and then your dog gets up. Instead, say for example you take 10 steps away from your dog and your dog can keep staying, you take 10 steps, click and reinforce, 3 steps, click and reinforce. That way the dog never knows when he's going to get a treat. So to start out, you might just be simply shifting your weight forwards away from your dog. Awesome. And then when your dog's doing really well, you can start adding different types of movement. Woohoo! Woohoo! Awesome. By proofing the release cue, you'll find that it's way easier to add duration to a stay than trying to add duration before you've proofed that release cue. And this is because if you ignore your dog, sometimes they'll start offering other behaviors. But if they know they can only get up on the release cue, you can start adding that duration. So the same thing applies with duration as to distance. You're not going to do 20 seconds, then 30 seconds, then a minute, then 2 minutes, then 5 minutes, then 10 minutes. And when you get to 10 minutes, you only give a treat right after the end of 10 minutes. Your dog should never know when they're going to get the treat. So for example, Splash now is really enjoying sitting here in her sit stay while I'm talking, and she never knows when she might get that treat.